of stability, that this is a country of great healthcare system, pension system. This is the world hockey champion and our enemy. It's strictly impossible, even for Putin propaganda. Even for Putin propaganda.
I think the answer to your question was given by General Makarov last autumn when he warned Finland quite clearly not to continue with these highly aggressive defense maneuvers near the Russian border and that they should under no circumstances think about joining NATO.
But he's out of his position now.
But who believes in that?
No, it's bluff.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question from Edward Lucas.
Sorry, Boris, I think I just want to come back on you when you say it's just for show. I think it's a show in two directions. It's a show to the Russian people. It's a show that backs up the anti-Western narrative. A lot of this is portrayed as being a response to aggressive NATO maneuvers. So if you read the Russian military websites, they say NATO is coming close to our borders and we have to respond. So yes, it's a show at home. But I think it's also a show abroad, and it's part of a campaign to make people in the Baltic states feel that they are threatened and that NATO's response is inadequate. Because really it's very difficult for NATO to have a really adekvatny atviet to this sort of thing, because the last big exercises, Russia simulated a strategic rocket forces drill, I had a drill, where the notional attack was Warsaw. Now we are not going to have, our equivalent is not going to do drills showing that we are planning to attack Moscow. It's just not what we do. So there's an asymmetry there in the sort of response that NATO can conceivably do is not going to be enough to be a real response to these sort of Russian exercises, and that has a kind of drip, drip, drip psychological effect. So although you're right, in a sense, Russia can't win a war against the United States, I think these military maneuvers and military build-up and all this stuff, it does have an effect. One can't just say it's part of the domestic political equation.
Would you, a short comment?
Well, frankly, I don't know what will be a result of such kind of show. More and more people in Baltic states and in the Scandinavian area and in Central Europe will be afraid of Putin, will be what? Hate Putin. What else? Edward, I don't believe that he's ready to start the war, even after his last paranoid decision, anti-NGO, about political prisoners. I want to tell you one point. Modern Russia has more political prisoners than Lukashenko Belarus. First point. If you look at the, well, trend is terrible. Now we transform our system from so-called sovereign democracy with manipulation, with falsification, with, hooligans like Nashisty, etc., to real repression. It's very important. And domestic policy becomes very aggressive against Russian people, first of all. Not against Baltics, but against Russian people, first of all. Well, that's why to predict what's happened next, if paranoia will be going up and up and up, I don't know. But I'm talking about near future, very near future. Maybe transformation from show to something more serious will happen. Maybe, I don't know, and we can observe it very carefully. But I don't know what kind of instruments he have. How to fight against? Yes, America is involved in a different subjects. It's easy, but if something happens here, I'm sure that priority for the states will change immediately, in 1 second.
Okay, Robert Arsjö, varsågod.
Thank you. First, just putting my historian's cap on, France and Britain provided a security guarantee to Poland in 1939, and they were willing to go to war, but they were not able to provide effective assistance. Mr. Nemtsov mentioned the fact that the Baltics are members of EU and NATO as a disincentive to meddle seriously in their affairs. But could it not also, in a certain situation, be the other way around, that the possibility of having a proxy government in a member country of the EU and NATO might actually be an incentive for meddlement?
Excuse me, I don't understand.
Janis.
I think Boris would like a more explanation of the question, please.
Mr. Nemtsov, you said that the fact that the Baltic states were members of the EU and NATO would make the Kremlin not interfere too deeply into their affairs. Now, Latvia handled the crisis of 2008 and the years coming after in a very, very wisely. But at the time, it looked as if there might be political disunion and downfall inside the country. Could not, in a certain situation, the fact that if you could get a proxy government into place in a country which is both an EU and a NATO member, you would actually have somebody working for the Kremlin sitting at the Council of the EU and of NATO, and could not that, in a crisis, actually be an incentive for meddling in the internal affairs of an EU and NATO country? That was weak. Thank you.
If you get a pro-Russian government...
Yeah, I understand. First of all, I was not long ago in Vilnius. Well, and as far as I understand, now we have absolutely pro-Putin government in Lithuania. Well, and government is very much afraid not only of Putin, but even Putin agents who visited without any problems Vilnius, to organize provocation against us, and nothing happened with Lithuanian police. Well, that's why such kind of scenario is absolutely realistic. And I think that if serious crisis happen, such kind of political parties have a chance to be in the power. Well, but I don't think that there is just 1% of opportunity to forget about EU and NATO. It's difficult even to imagine that it's happened. Of course, if somebody take power and with the slogan that let's go back from EU to Russia, if such kind of political forces will win, I don't know about this, but if such kind, this is absolutely different story. But now it's difficult even to imagine. Even absolutely Russian parties say that EU membership and NATO is not bad for us. Because of traveling, because of trade, because of education, because of security, because of a lot of reasons.
I have to put an end to the discussion here. Our time is up, unfortunately. There may be this last issue. There may be something that you will have to discuss with the ambassador from Lithuania in the break.
Met each other,
in the break. In the break, yeah. Exactly.
We already talked about everything.
So thank you very much, Janis Kazocins. Thank you, Boris Nemtsov. Thank you.
Thank you.